Good morning to everyone. Another hard day as we continue to witness the atrocities, the sadness, the darkness, the pain that so many are going through. So many people I know have loved ones who are suffering tremendously. And my thoughts are with all of you, and our prayers are with all of you. But I wanted to say a few words of encouragement. You know, they say the story about this guy who comes to his tailor and he brings him the finest material from Italy, and he says, please, could you make me a custom-made suit? And the guy says, sure. Takes his measurements, says, come back in 2 weeks, it's going to be $500, you'll have a beautiful suit. Comes back in 2 weeks, and the tailor says, you know, it got delayed, come back in another week. And then he says, come back in another week, a fourth week, a fifth week. Finally, after 6 weeks, he says, your suit's ready, come try it on. The man tries on this suit, and it's the most exquisite suit he's seen. It's just gorgeous. It lays on him beautifully, it's cut to perfection. And he pays him the $500, but he couldn't help restrain himself. He says, you know, you told me 2 weeks, and it took you 6 weeks. He says, you know, even God, when he created the world in Genesis, it only took him 6 days. And without missing a beat, skipping a beat, the tailor looks at this guy and he says, yeah, look at the world God created and look at the suit I made. And sometimes we wonder, we look at the world, we look at the chaos, we look at the pain, we look at the struggle, and we say, how could it be so much devastation, so much destruction, so much evil, so much madness in this world? And I think when you look at the beginning of this week's Torah portion, we finish the tabernacle, the home that the Jewish people built for God. And the verse starts, Eile Pekudei HaMishkan, Mishkan Eidus. These are the details of the Mishkan, the tabernacle of testimony, of Eidut. And Rashi immediately says, what does it mean it was Eidut? And he says that this was a testimony, this was a recognition by the Jewish people that after they built the tabernacle, God forgave them for the sin of the golden calf. And Rashi and the commentaries basically say that Genesis, the beginning of Genesis, we start with God building a world. But then after God builds a world, we fail time and time again. First, we fail by the sin of Adam and Eve eating from the tree of wisdom. Then we fail with Cain and Abel killing each other. Then we fail with the destruction of Noah's generation and the idol worshipping through Abraham's generation. In Genesis, we read about God building a world, yes, in 6 days, and mankind destroying it. But in Exodus, we read something else. We read about the greatest failure the Jewish people had as a family, as a people, with the sinning of the golden calf. But what happened after that? They took the broken pieces and they rebuilt it, and they built a home for God. And that's why the verse says, Eile Pekudei HaMishkan, Mishkan Eidus. These are the details of the Mishkan of a testimony. God says, look at you people. Look how amazing you are, that you could take destruction, you could take devastation, you could take failure and pain and turn it into building the most beautiful edifice, a home, a place where God could feel welcome. And I think about the power of humanity to destroy, yet the power of humanity to build. I think about what's going on, and we're all watching 24/7, the horror, the devastation, the pain. But I think about the kindness, the generosity. So many in our community, what they've done. I think about one of our friends in our own community, a philanthropist who single-handedly, together with someone else, paid and sponsored an entire orphanage in Ukraine to be brought out to safety out of Ukraine and Moldova. I think about what took this man's heart to be able to do that. I think about a woman in our community who I've been watching on Facebook, a dear friend, Ina Rifkin, who runs the Russian School of Math. And here she is, a woman sitting in Boston with a family, and all she's doing is trying to help people get across the border, paying people, volunteering people, connecting people to bring them to safety. And I think Eile Pekudei HaMishkan, Mishkan HaEdus. This is the building of the tabernacle that gives testimony. When you look at the kindness of people in the face of madness, in the face of destruction, in the face of pain, you know the testimony, the power of humankind, and God says, I recognize this. I see Eile Pekudei HaMishkan. This past Shabbat, a man came to the Chabad shul in Kiev, and he knocked on the door and he came to the rabbi and he cried to him. He says, I'm trying to get my family to safety across the border. I have no gas in my car. Could you help me? And the rabbi calmly takes his keys of his car, says, here, take my car. And the guy says, what do you mean? What's going to be with you? And the rabbi says, don't worry. I'll be okay. Take the keys and go to safety. You think about, you watch on Facebook, you watch all over the world. I know we send out an email asking people to contribute through a fund in New York, and the generosity that people gave, the open hearts. This is the power. That's what Exodus tells us. This week we finished a portion of Exodus, the last book of Exodus, the last parsha. And what do? We stand up and we say, Chazak, Chazak, v'nit chazek. Let us be strong, let us strengthen. When we see the tabernacle that the Jewish people built for God, when we see the kindness, the generosity of all these people, us included, it should give us strength, it should give us hope that as dark as it is, as painful as it is, we are not standing quiet, but we are letting our voices be heard. We are saying unequivocally, sometimes, as Eli Wiesel says, sometimes there's nothing you might be able to do, but silence is inexcusable. Speaking up and doing the things that we're able to. Eila Mishkan HaEdus. May we be merit to build a tabernacle, a home for God. May we merit that our kindness, that our generosity, that our care, that our hearts that are so big, that God usher in an era of redemption, an era of they should turn their plows, their swords into plow shields, an era of kindness, an era of redemption, a messianic era, an era where people could live and tolerate and love and care, and the goodness will triumph over evil. God bless you.